Hello Xavier. This is a quick video showing you how you can access and use your digital log for the Xavier Reading Champions program. The first thing you need to do is sign into your Google Classroom. Once there, log on to the Xavier Library Classroom. If you're not already a member of the Xavier Library Classroom, the code can be found on the window behind the circulation desk. Once you're in Xavier Library, you need to find the post titled Xavier Reading Champions 2017 to 18. Now it's important that it's this one and not the one from the year previously, because the logs attached to that post will not be checked come the end of the year. Once you've found that, you'll see an attached file and it should say Xavier Reading Champions XRC digital log dash your name. Okay, each student gets their own individual log. So if it doesn't say your name next to it, something's not quite right and maybe you should pop in and have a chat with me. So once you've clicked on that, it'll open into Google Drive. As I said before, it is your own individual copy, so you don't need to worry about sharing with anyone else. In opening this file, it has saved it automatically to your Google Drive, so you don't have to go back through Google Classroom every time you want to open it, though of course you can if that's what you prefer. In the file, you'll see several tabs down the bottom. I'm going to go through each of these tabs briefly so you understand what's included in this file. The first tab, Guidelines for Students, just shows some general guidelines for how the program will run. Some of the big things you need to know is that all books must be published, okay? So that means that fan fiction, Wattpad, and unpublished stories don't count towards your tally. Now, they are wonderful things to read and I hope you enjoy reading them. However, we are trying to promote a certain level of literature here, so for this purpose we would like you to stick to published works, please. It is appropriate to stay within your reading age, okay? So if you are reading at a Year 7 level, we don't want you to be reading books aimed for kindergarten students. Now, a lot of this is up to your discretion. If you are quite a confident reader, you can of course go higher than your age. If you are someone who is not that confident of a reader, you can of course go down a little if you feel that's appropriate. You know what's the right age bracket for you, what is the right reading level for you. Again, Premier's reading books definitely count. You can do both. Books that you read in class count. You may listen to the books in an audio format or read them on ebook if you like. Keep in mind that we do have quite a good digital reading collection now. If you don't know how to access that, I will send the videos that I made for those and attach them also, so you can check that out. It's quite an easy process. And a big thing is that you can no longer have more than 5 visual texts. So visual texts include graphic novels, manga, picture books, things like that. Once again, not that these aren't wonderful things to read, you should definitely be reading them. However, it's just a matter of equal effort. Okay, if someone reads 20 picture books, it's not the same as someone who reads 20 novels. Okay, that's why there's a 5 limit on that. The second tab, Guideline for Parents. Feel free to read this. It's basically just a bit of information about why we've decided to create this program. Now, the success criteria is where you really need to start thinking about what you want to read. And it's a little bit tricky, so bear with me while I just briefly explain how it all works. There are 4 different levels: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Now, as you can see, as you go up, the number of books you have to read also go up. There's a recommended books per term. So for example, if you're doing the bronze level, if you read 4 books a term, then you'll be on track. Genres required. Now, I'll talk a little bit about this more when we get to the genre log at the end, but as you can see, as you go up, you are required to read a broader range of genres. This is because we want you to read broadly. It is supposed to be a challenge. We want you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Now, this bottom part, I'm going to explain in more detail when we get to the book log, but it just shows you that, again, as you go higher, the requirements get more so. So for instance, if you're reading at a bronze level, you are not required, though of course you may, read any books more than 400 pages. But when you're doing platinum, you need to read 10 books that are 400 pages or more. The next tab is the book log. Now, as you can see, I've put one in as an example. I've put the title, the author, how many pages, and a 2-sentence review. Now, this is important. You are to do this for each book. Now, you don't have to write a whole paragraph. You don't have to write a very long review. It's just why you liked it. Okay, if you look here, I've said I enjoyed this book because I particularly enjoyed this part. You might hate the book. You might love the book. 2 sentences is all that's required here. Now, the parent sign-off is just a way for your parents to know what you're reading so that they can be impressed with your wonderful reading log. They might get involved. I've had more than one parent join in, so if they are keen to do this themselves, of course they may. What's interesting about this page is that it will automatically populate this table for you. Okay, so as you can see, it tells me that I've read one book, one falling into the 200-page category, one falling in the 300, 0 in the 400. So if I put in another book here, let's say Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Not quite sure of the page numbers, but let's say it's 291, just for random reasons. Okay, if I look over here, it tells me that I have now read 2 books, which we can see, and that there are now 2 books that are 200 pages or more. But because this didn't quite hit 300 pages, it did not add to my 300 plus tally or my 400 plus tally. So why this is great? 2 reasons. You don't have to do the counting as you go along. You just keep adding to your log. But also you'll see here a little cheat sheet for what you want. So if you're shooting for the bronze level, you want your table here to have 20 books read, 10 in the 200, 2 in the 300, and it doesn't really matter what's in the 400. If you want the platinum, you want this to say 75, this to say 50, this to say 20, this to say 10, or naturally a higher number than that. Okay, so it's just a quick way to keep track of what you've read without having to keep a running tally of the number of page counts. The last tab is the genre log. Here there are 10 different genres. Obviously there are a lot more genres in the world. I encourage you to read widely. However, we want you to step out of your comfort zone, as I said earlier. If you are reading for a bronze award, you have to read at least 1 book from 3 different genres. So if you read a science fiction, a romance, and a non-fiction book, that would be fantastic, and the 17 other books could be from whatever genre you like. If you were a huge fantasy reader, you could read 17 fantasy novels as long as there was 1, 2, 3 others. For a platinum, however, you have to read 1 from each. Now the platinum asks for 75 books. There are 10 genres, so obviously you will double up here and there, but you do have to fill this log in according to what level you're going for. So that's the basic rundown of the Xavier Reading Champions. It does require a little bit of thinking. It's a little bit of a puzzle, especially if you start going higher than the bronze level. You have to start planning out some of the books that you'd like to read. I recommend that you start with the bigger books and work your way down. It just makes it a little bit easier for you. Please feel free to ask for any book recommendations at any point. Please come and share with us what you're reading. We always want to know what you're reading. I'm sure I'm not the only teacher who would love to know what you're reading at the moment. If you're interested, you can come along to one of our book clubs and discuss it further with the other members. Okay, this has been quite a long video, I'm sorry, but I hope this covers everything you needed answers to. If not, please give me a shout and I will happily answer any other questions you might have. Good luck everyone, happy reading.